Hiya, and welcome back to Miss Ashley's Happy Place. Last time we stopped that on-the-go Van Gogh paint roller and got the second piece of the star rod, and we were on our way to Butter Building. So you're probably asking yourself, why are we back in World 1? If you recall, last time I got a UFO copy ability, and I exclaimed that this was the very first one in the game. I learned while editing that that's not the case. You can actually find the UFO power-up for the first time in the very first level. And when I went back and learned this, I kind of felt silly, because I actually knew where this thing was, or I'd found it in the past, but not in this game. I had found it in the remake, Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland for Game Boy Advance. And yeah, I remember getting it in that game and thinking like, oh, they added this cool little thing to this game for the remake, like, oh, look, you can do UFO this early in the game. But no, you know, the game is a remake, so indeed, you can actually find it in this version of the game too. So, if you'll notice, ever so slightly, there is a difference in these blocks. Right beneath this first block that I'm looking at right here, there is an entrance to a special room. Let me try that again. So, yeah, right beneath that tiny little block there is an entrance to a special room that contains the very first UFO in the game. And you can be forgiven for not noticing this, especially because, like I said, in the remake, this entrance is a lot more obvious. So, if I can very carefully make my way under here. Oh well. So, yeah, this is actually the very first place you can get a UFO. And I can also show you that when you encounter a UFO in a level, if you fail to get it, if it flies away or you accidentally destroy it, you actually can't get it again. They go away. You have to restart the game or restart the level, one of the two, to actually get this UFO back now. But here it is, in a nice little pretty area that I think we'll be seeing an area that looks like this much later in the game. But anyway, just thought I'd show off this cute little Easter egg. Well, not really an Easter egg, but this cute little secret that, again, it's not that clear here. I'm going to go ahead and cut in and show you what it looks like in the remake. And you can see that it's a lot more telling that there's possibly something under this block in that game. Also, the area looks kind of okay too. It doesn't look as pretty as this one, but... So, let's go ahead and exit this level and continue our progression. So, if you remember, the fastest way to go between worlds is to take our Warp Star Depot. Now, we don't have the star for 3 yet, because you only get them after you actually beat the boss. So, we're just going to go to level 2, and then go to the old boss store to go to World 3. Listen to that music. This is some pumping. This gets you going, because we are about to go up, up, up. Butter Building. So I thought this time I would go ahead and talk a little bit about what is it about Kirby that just makes him so appealing. First and foremost, you have Kirby's appearance. You know, he's round, he's pink, he's soft, he's squishy. You know, he's not just cute, he is cute with a capital kawaii. Hey, it's Mr. TikTok again. And so yeah, he looks like an inviting character to be around. He's totally non-threatening, but at the same time, despite that appearance, you know, there are several times where he gets serious. And when he gets serious, you know, he still manages to look cute, but he does kind of, like, when you see when you see his eyes shift, like, you know he means business. Okay, so up here, you can see the sprite doesn't quite parse correctly at the top of the screen. So up here is our very first secret switch. When you hit these, it'll actually unlock a separate area in the world that we're in that can't be accessed otherwise. So how do we get over there? Now you can see that once that switch is pressed, there'll be a way out of that room, but how do you get into that room? Well, they make the first one easy for you, just to introduce you to the concept. So I'm gonna hit this, we're gonna go up, and now here we are. And you can just jump on this, you can hit it with an ability or anything, but boom. And now we unlocked an arena for this world. So yeah, Kirby is... He's non-threatening, but at the same time he can kick butt when he needs to. So... on one hand, like, if you like cute things, you'll look at Kirby and go, oh, that's adorable. If you don't like cute things, you'll see him pick up a sword and go, oh, wow, that's amazing. I never would have expected that from somebody like this. And then the copy abilities themselves, they... you know, it's kind of crazy to think about that Kirby's Dream Land even got a sequel, considering how basic the game was. I mean, it was a super charming game with really cute characters, and the whole, you know, inhale and the whole inhale mechanic was you know, pretty cool to see. But it wasn't until he got copy abilities that Kirby really came into his own. And it's with these oh, look at this effect here, by the way. Again, we're talking, you know, late release NES game. Now, granted, you know, Battletoads did something like this too, but come on. Come on. You gotta love it. But yeah, you take into account the copy abilities, and especially when Superstar came out and introduced, like, the little costumes, the little hats and stuff. At that point, like, you can pick, you know, everybody has their favorites. Everybody has either, like, mechanically something they enjoy playing as, or something they just find aesthetically pleasing. And, you know, however you want to make your Kirby and however you want to play your Kirby, it's up to you. Why do we have you here now? You don't have a health bar for some weird reason. And so, yeah, he's just a super cute, super capable character where you can play him how you want, you can love him the way you want. He's just Kirby. Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Okay, so if you remember, Wheel is actually invulnerable, so we can just go straight through all this stuff and not have to really worry about anything. Right through Gordo and over to the door. But with most of our copy ability, ooh, speak of it. Here's a new one we haven't gotten yet. Ice. Kirby can freeze enemies with his cold breath. He can then throw them onto others. So this uses the same mechanics as freeze, except instead of you know, being around us, it's now just being expelled, kind of like fire. So again, there's a lot of overlap with some abilities in the game, but that's okay. There's a lot of overlap in the game between different abilities, which is having different elements. Ooh, speaking of abilities, check out our friend Bugsy here. He's a pincer beetle, which is, you know, not very surprising. You know, Japan loves their insect collecting, so he's a really cool character. You know, granted, you know, I'm blue and I've got ice, so I'm kind of cool too, but he's pretty neat because Bugsy likes to get up close and personal. You know, yeah, he's launching little buddies right now, but watch what happens if he gets a hold of me. He just backdropped me. So you can only imagine what really cool thing you get to do when you have Bugsy. Backdrop. Look at Kirby. He is pumped. He is psyched to backdrop. Kirby can use a powerful wrestling technique, the backdrop, to defeat his opponents. Sadly, we don't get to see it immediately, but we're going to be getting some ample use out of it in the next level. And so that malleability of Kirby, it also applies to the games he appears in. Kirby is often Nintendo's experiment for how they want to handle things. So watch. So you'll notice that the sound of our inhale has changed because it has a different property. Now we're bringing enemies towards us to do wrestling moves. Backdrop. Don't want to lose it. We gotta be very careful coming down here because there's Bronto Birch just waiting to ambush us, and we can't counterattack on the ladder. But with backdrop, every direction you push has a different thing that you do. So hitting back is the proper backdrop, and hitting forward is a pile driver. Hitting down is a better pile driver. It's It's so cool. It's so adorable. It manages to be both adorable and cool at the same time, and that is Kirby. That is Kirby's appeal in a nutshell. He is cool. He's adorable. I'm smashing Bronto birds into other Bronto birds. Starman, get wrecked. Just all sorts of fun. Oh yeah, he's got an air throw too. I forgot about that. So certainly at this point you can kind of see where there's a lot of inspiration for how Kirby could be such a capable fighter in Smash Brothers. Granted, a lot of his moves are taken from the actual fighter ability, and ooh, this is actually this is a trap room here. I could just slide and hit that bomb block, but if I did that, I would probably hit the spikes. So yeah, I love Backdrop. It's not very great for bosses though, but as far as just having some fun in the game, can't go wrong. So Butter Building's whole thing, there's a lot of verticality in it, as well as kind of maze-like corridors. You know, you're navigating an interior space. Up until this point, we've mostly been seeing a lot of outdoor environments. And so, you know, here's the game trying a little something different. It's like, okay, you've had a lot of room to move around. Maybe you've gotten a little dependent on the ability to fly anytime you want. So now we're going to kind of lock you in and see what you can do. Let's see, we are at number 4. We are climbing this tower pretty quickly. I can't quite remember how many levels are in this world again, but I do know that we've got quite a thing waiting for us at the top. So let's take a quick break and see some of these things we've been unlocking. Who was in the arena today? It's Wheelie. I don't know how I'm going to fight Wheelie with this. There we go. That'll work. Oh, I missed. So oddly enough, some of these arena mini bosses tend to there we go. Some of these arena mini bosses, for whatever reason, are differently colored. But yeah, if you don't get a mini boss, by the way, pretty soon they'll just explode. They can't sit around forever like that. You've basically put them into a weakened state, is what happens. Right, and what do we have in the museum for if we find ourselves needing something? Hi, Jump. Hello there, Starman. Look at him do his little dance. So, hey, Starman. I need you to do something for me. Can you sell this move? Can you sell this move for me, brother? We got a promo to shoot. You ready? All right. Perfect. You look like you didn't like that. Up the tower we go. And again, this music, oh, all of the music in the Kirby series is great, but there's something about I can tell you that the boss of this level gave me a lot of problems when I was younger, and so I got to hear that map music quite a bit coming up this tower. But it definitely gets you in the mood for, you know, getting out there. And Meta Knight has returned. More Meta Knights, but you know what? Not only can we just inhale you, we can totally dominate you. Oh, no! No! Pride goeth before a fall. No big deal. Oh. Be with you way up there, Mr. Mace Guy. There we go. No big deal. It was fun while it lasted. So look at this, we got a nice little mini smorgasbord. We got, I think that's Blade Knight, not Sword Knight. There is a difference between the two. Appearance-wise, there's a major difference between them in other games, but here they might just be palette swaps. Ah! Look up for the bullets. Got a little air jet. This is a new mechanic now. We will be seeing air currents in other areas later, so... Yeah, we're just kind of shooting through this one. As I'm sure you've noticed by now, we already found a large majority of the copy abilities in the game. So, from here on out, they're going to be a little few and far between as far as seeing new ones go, and I'll talk a little bit more about that after we check out our latest, and I think our last mini-game in this game. Quick Draw. When the enemy draws, press the A button. If you press it too soon, you get a penalty. So, Kirby is a respectable gunslinger. He wants to make sure he's fair. So, This is just a very simple game. It is what it says. You'll get an alarm, you'll get an alert, and you have to hit the button within a certain period of time. And this is... I like this minigame because not only is it very simple, but again, it gives another opportunity for the game's personality to shine. You'll know what I mean pretty soon. Look at that. Oh, I am really slow. I'm probably not going to see the end of this one. Like the hats. Hello, Starman. Yeah, I'm not going to make it to the end being this slow. I got a little faster, and look at that, our artillery kind of changes as we go. No, Kirby! It's alright. So yeah, that's a little fun game. I can't remember if there's 5 or 6 that you have to go through in that, but they get progressively tougher. You have to have a reaction time somewhere around, I think, 4 or 5 by the end. It gets really intense, and it's obvious it had to have been a pretty popular game because it did come back in Kirby Superstar as a dedicated minigame. Sword, meet sword, Kirby, meet lollipop. So we're about to go on another sugar rush. Where are we going? Around the tower, so we can like get a nice view of this effect while we're just running through Scarfies and not caring about anything but being happy. That was great. Ooh, hey, here's the actual guy that does the freeze. So before we saw freeze as a mini-boss ability, but there is the regular enemy that gives you freeze. For that Gordo. And now we see him properly. This is Bonkers, ready to give us yet another ability. And he's going a little crazy. He also loves to throw these exploding coconut things. Probably want to keep our distance from him since he's got that weapon. Oh, look out. So, you can pretty much guess what he's gonna give us. Especially if you've played Smash Brothers. Hey buddy, that's a nice hammer. Hammer! This weapon is very powerful. Use it on stubborn bad guys to clear your path. So hammer, like a lot of the other abilities, it gets a lot more useful in later games once they expand the movesets, but it still does have its own uses here, which we will see right now. Hammers are the only one of 2 things you can use to pound in these stakes. So they're kind of like bomb blocks, but they have very specific ways to activate them. Like, they're functionally bomb blocks, but they can only be affected by hammers and stone. So very strong downward impacts. World 6. So I was going to mention earlier that, even though we are getting pretty... We're going through this pretty quickly, you'll see that the worlds, as we go, will have more and more levels in them. I believe 7 is the limit for proper levels, though. So we are kind of getting near the end, but that's okay, because what waits for me at the top might be a little difficult. Couple Poppy Brother Juniors and this laser dude. So what do we got going here? Run away from the Gordo! Look out for the crash! Oh! That didn't... That kind of smarted. No, 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 no! So those bombs have a deceptively large range. It goes way outside their sprite, so you definitely want to keep your distance when they're about to fall. Oh, something else, that's this guy's, as I mentioned before, enemies have a set of actions they can do, but, when they do them, it's not always going to be all that predictable. Sometimes those hotheads, sometimes they'll just blow the flames, they'll actually breathe fire, and sometimes they'll spit fire at you. No! The precious, precious hammer. I don't know if I'll ever need it again. I do believe hammer is used for quite a few secrets in this game. Because, again, there's only 2 things that can get through stakes. Not doing well here. There are only 2 things that can get through stakes. Yeah, that background's not great compared to the regular one, because Like, the regular background, like, it makes sense that you're going around it, but having two spinning cylinders in the middle is kind of odd. Also, I'm not quite sure why we went outside the tower while we were climbing, but what's behind these blocks? I kind of knew how that was gonna go. If you just fall after hitting that, then you're going to get trapped and you can't go to this other side. Well, what do you know? Ooh, we can get some eggs. So yeah, the game at this point has really started to open up, because now most of the elements of the game are now in play. You can now see the secrets. Ooh, here's a cool little thing. Dark room. I almost didn't see Sir Kibble there. Really wish I could find my way around. Light! Dark areas can be spooky. This lets Kirby set off fireworks. It works only in the dark. This is probably one of the rarest abilities in Kirby, even more rare than, or even rarer than UFO. Light only appears in this game and in the remake, and it only does one thing. It brings in the sun. And that's it. That is all it does. You only get to use it once, you can only use it in darkened rooms, and there are not many darkened rooms in this game. In later games, there would still be dark rooms, but typically other abilities that could provide oh, goodbye, Starman. But typically other abilities that provided some kind of, some light or spark or whatever would light them up. So for example, you could combine Spark with Kind to create light bulbs in Kirby's Dream Land 2, or there were some abilities combos you could do in Kirby 64 that would light up areas. I think you could do that in that game. This was really quick, I'm so sorry. But still, like, you can... Again, I can't stress enough how, at this point, like, I'm almost getting absorbed more into... I'm getting super absorbed into playing the game and just kind of rushing through because I'm really enjoying myself. Again, everything has come together. We got the secrets, we got new copy abilities, but they're really weird ones, so you aren't going to be seeing them very often, like Backdrop and Hammer. And now we're just seeing more and more levels in each world. So let's go ahead and see if we can get these eggs before we see who's waiting for us at the top of Butter Building. Concentrate. Bring it on, DDD. Give me the eggs. Oh. I think I only did one better than I did last time. I really want to beat that, or at least see the end of that game, because it has a really cute finale. Alright, so we climbed a tower, and we are up amongst the clouds. It's almost like I can just reach the sky from here. So who's waiting for us? By two celestial bodies, Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright. And it's a tag team fight. So Mr. Shine loves to throw little cutters when he's on the ground, while... I'm sorry. Mr. Bright throws these little moon cutters, these crescent cutters, while Mr. Shine... Well, okay. I think I've gotten them mixed up already twice, but you can see what they're doing. Again, this really... Oh no. So right now, you're probably seeing how this was probably tough for me when I was younger. Again, there's no real sequence to how these guys, how enemies in these games fight, and now I'm dealing with two of them at once, and they have attacks that are covering quite a bit of the screen, and they're also very quick. And if you don't have an ability, you don't really get a lot of options. However, if you find yourself without an ability... Look at that, just immediate tag team switch. But if you find yourself without an ability, you might be surprised to learn that you can actually gain abilities from their attacks. And so you'll gain their signature abilities. So in the case of Mr. Bright, you'll get his Crescent Cutter. And in the case of Mr. Shine, wants to unleash his heat ray on me. You'll get his fire. We have destroyed the tides. Kirby, what have you done? Oh yeah, also, you want to be careful while jumping around because you cannot touch the, don't want to touch that for one, but you will take damage if you touch them while they're in the sky. So, it's kind of weird, because, like, you look at these guys and you look at their appearances, and they really only work in 2D. Like, what is Kirby looking at right now when he looks at, Mr. Bright? He's just kind of seeing, like, a really weird thing. Look how little warning there is for those stars coming down. But yeah, like, these guys are surprisingly menacing. Like, the way, like, the scariest thing they can do is nothing, because, like that, like, you're just kind of watching one and waiting to see what they're going to do, and then they'll either switch, or the other one will get into position, and, like, now such a, oh, that's right, I can't suck those in. It's such a cool boss fight, but good golly, for this early in the game, like, this isn't even the halfway point of the game. This is probably a little rough. Like, between this and, right on my head, between this and Paint Roller, this game ramps up. Like, it will, there's one boss I'm thinking of that I don't recall being very tough at all. I think it's in the next world. But for, you know, World 2 and World 3, for this early in the game, Paint Roller and these two, they're, like, you know, like, again, I have no ability right now. There are not many opportunities for me to attack. I'm having to wait for them to unleash attacks that will either give me a copy ability or give me ammunition. Now see, I saw him jump, but I thought he was about to go and plant himself in the sky, so I didn't run far enough. Okay. So as I was saying, like, these guys' appearances really only work in 2D, and it's kind of funny. Like, I laugh about Kirby destroying the tides when I KO'd Mr. Bright, but, you know, really, I'd like to think that these guys really aren't so much the actual sun and moon as they are just, you know, weird creatures that kind of embody them. Like right now, Mr. Bright, he's not actually sitting in the sky, he's just sitting directly above me. You know, he's not I was looking at the other one. He's not faded out into the background. They're just kind of hovering above. But still, in this style, it really works. It looks really cool. And I gotta say, getting to actually fight a sun that does more than the angry sun in Mario 3 was pretty cool the first time. Because, you know, that thing was already scary enough as a kid, but to see this guy slowly hopping towards me and rocketing towards me like that while his buddies pelted me with PK Starstorm. Yeah, and they have separate health bars, so together they have a full health bar. One other really kind of funny thing is that, so even though I tend to get their names mixed up, I do remember that these guys are called Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright strictly because of Kirby's Avalanche, where the announcer says,
Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright.
And yet, there's another character that appears in that game whose name I couldn't remember, and that was Paint Roller. Alright, so now Mr. Shine's out of the way, but he's still gonna pelt us with heat rays on occasion. Like right now. I need to get out of the way. Turn around, Kirby. Why can't I turn around? No! No! I had some technical difficulties there. Alright. That was a bit of a choke. I've got it this time, though. So yeah, I remember their names because of one game, and that same game should have reminded me of the name of Paint Roller, and it didn't. I totally had forgotten Paint Roller was in that game. I think it's probably because I lost to these guys in Kirby's Avalanche about as much as I lost to them here, so I just kind of probably whizzed by Paint Roller, but then again, maybe they were in a different order in that game too. I don't know. I just really liked the way the announcer said it. Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright. So, again, you've got two methods of attack here. I could go back to one of the other areas to get me a different ability, but usually your star shot is going to deal the most damage, but waiting for the ammo is kind of tough, so you're faced with a decision. Like, do you wait for ammo, or do you get an ability and try to get in close? No. See, this shouldn't even really hurt him at all, honestly. But that's fine. Do your worst, Mr. Bright. No. Do a little less than your worst, Master Mr. Bright. Okay. Come on. I just need a little something. Yeah, so it's just mono a mono now, but we've got this other, we've got the other one to give us some stuff to get this fight done. Incidentally, this means we're not going to get any more abilities from Mr. Bright. There we go. And then the Eclipse. Whew. I was expecting a little bit of difficulty in that fight, but I was still surprised by how hard that was, even knowing what to expect. So, we have caused global havoc. The Earth will freeze, the oceans will stop moving, but at least we got the third piece of the Star Rod. It's time to dance. So where are we going next time? Grape Garden. We climb that tower into the clouds and... No, my balloon! My other balloons! Oh. So when we come back next time, we're gonna... Oh, well first we're gonna kind of take in this music a little. When we come back next time, we're going to float away with the clouds like a cloud in Grape Garden. See you soon.
Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright.